What's up, guys? How you doing? This is Philip Starrett coming at you live again, and today I am in the island of Brač, so that's in Croatia. It's about 50 minutes from actually the Croatia, the mainland, so it's a really nice island here. I'm about to sit down, have an orange, eat my bread here and watch the sunset over there. But I'd like to talk to you today about basically something that I really enjoy, and a specific library that I love, and one particular class in that library, and that is Google's Guava. And the class that I love in that is the immutable map and the immutable collections. So what's really cool about this library is when you build your collections and build your objects, when you make them immutable, that means that they cannot change state. So you cannot actually add things to the collection, and you cannot remove things from the collection. So that means as long as you're not modifying what's actually held inside the elements within the collection, then you can share that between threads safely, and you know that the collection will not grow in size or it will not decrease in size. And I absolutely love immutable functionality. I make everything immutable when I can. I also love like Java 8, effectively final and final. But yeah, in this video I'm going to show you Google Guava. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you guys enjoy some of the scenery here. You know, I love taking you guys out wherever I go, making a few videos. So hope you guys enjoy this, and take care. What's up, guys? How you doing? This is Philip Starrett again, and today what we're going to be talking about is Google's Guava's immutable collections, and specifically I'm going to be showing you the Google Guava ImmutableList class, and how you can use that in your applications to get really good benefits from that. And I'm going to go over all that for you now. So what you see here is the Google Guava Immutable Collections explain site. So I'm going to recommend everyone goes to this GitHub page and actually has a wee nosy themselves and looks about and gets familiar with it. But very quickly here, why do immutable objects have advantages? And this is basically the key points that I like to address. So A, they're safe for use by untrusted libraries. So what that means is if you bring in a library to your application, so a third-party dependency, maybe in a POM file, you're going to bring down a dependency. Well, if you're going to pass in a collection to the API of that dependency, well, if you have an immutable collection, that means that that third-party API cannot add or remove elements from that collection. So that's pretty nice. Thread safe, so it means that we can safely share that across threads with no risk of race conditions. So if threads were modifying the shared object, well, then we have issues between synchronization. Maybe threads won't see the correct data in between them, and also if two threads are modifying the same object and there's no locks on that and there's no concurrency condition around that, then that's going to raise a lot of problems and introduce race conditions. So we definitely immutable objects will stop that, because immutable objects cannot change, and therefore threads cannot change them, and therefore we eliminate the race conditions of the objects changing. Doesn't need to support mutation. Okay, so yeah, it can't change. We get a little bit of space savings and maybe some optimizations as well with the compiler if we know things cannot change. It can be used as a constant with the expectation that it will remain fixed. Yes, so it's never going to change. So this is really cool. And also the Collections.unmodifiable will provide us more really cool benefits, which I'll talk about in a minute. So this, you'll see here that immutable collection it's going to give us different guarantees. So shallow immutability. That means that elements can never be added, removed, or replaced in this collection. So I'm going to show you in a minute what this actually means, and actually give you an example. And elements cannot be null in the list, so that's really cool as well. We don't like nulls, well, we want a null in the list. It's not pretty cool. Again, we're going over things like thread safety here and integrity. So let's get started, and I'm going to write some code and actually show you guys how you can use this. I hope you guys take this on board and use it, because once I found out about it, I have never looked back, and I've seen a very large decrease in the likes of defects or problems arising with collections, especially immutable collections. Okay, so I have basically created here a car object. So in this car object, you'll see here that I take a make and a model, and it's not immutable because these can change. We have getters and setters for this make and model. So car make model. So this is not how I would really design this class, but I'm designing it this way to show you how we can further optimize that in the future. So we have 4 cars. Well, the first thing we want to do is how do we create an immutable list of the cars? There's a couple of ways of doing this. The first way is pretty simple. You can write immutability.of and then you can pass in any cars you want. So you'll see that there's nice methods that are overridden here, and you can pass in up to 9 cars, maybe up to 10 cars into the list. And if that's not enough and you need more, well, what you can do is you can actually use the builder instead, and I actually recommend to use the builder. So let's go ahead and just run this first of all, and you'll see that there's the car. So that's an immutable list, and it has 2 in it. And if you wanted, you could set it to list, but Google Guava recommend that we actually use the full type, because that's going to tell our developers and tell everyone who's using the code base that this is the actual constraint of the object, and this is the guarantees that it gives us. So I like to use now immutable list. Now, if you're working in a code base that uses list everywhere, well, then you could probably, just instead of changing all the references to immutable list, just pass the immutable list about. So this is only if you're designing from scratch. So we also don't like having all casts, so also consider that. So how do we use the builder? So the builder is pretty cool. You can just write immutability.builder, and we're going to get back a builder of car objects. And from this, you can just, as you know, with a builder API, you can write car builder.add, and it's going to return the builder back. So if you need to iterate over something and add each element to the list, well, maybe you could do it this way, or maybe you want to use functional programming in some way. That's also cool. So what we're going to do is add, and you can pass in whatever one you want. So we'll pass in the Ford Kuga, and then we'll add another one, and we'll add in the Ford Mustang, and then when you call .build, it's going to return the immutable list. So that's 2 ways of creating the immutable list. Pretty cool. Very short and sweet. So there's the 2 lists, there's them 2, and there's the second 2. Now what else is in there? Well, let's look at this guarantee that it gave us. Shallow immutability, and this is a big one for me because Collections.unmodifiableList does not give us this guarantee, and I'll show you exactly what this means now. So let's go ahead and create a normal collection. So I'm going to comment out this old code. So you'll see here we have a simple array list, and we have I'm just calling it copyOf collection because we're going to create a copy of it. And what we have is the 4 cars in that collection. Well, if we want to go ahead and create an immutable list of that collection, well, we can just simply say immutable list.copyOf, and we're going to say the copyOf collection. Now what this is going to do is this is actually going to perform a shallow immutability. So if this collection adds or removes elements, it will not be reflected inside this collection. So the immutable class collection, and that is not the guarantee that Collections.unmodifiableCollection gives us. So if we write here and we print out that list, so let me go ahead and I'll print out this, you'll see that it's going to return all 4 objects. So I can just remove that. So you'll see there's the 4. Well, if I say add something to that collection, so I'm going to say copyOf collection.add Ford, so I'm going to call it xxxx. Well, it will not be added to the immutable collection. So you see it's not printed there. So that gives us more confidence that the collection, if it's made of another collection, well, the original collection will not have any impacts if it changes on our immutable list collection. So if I was to change that to a Collections.unmodifiable list, like so, and then I was to run this, well, what you'll see is it will have a, let me change that back. Oh, sorry, I didn't actually print that the last time, so I'm going to have to print this here. Let me comment that out. and I'll run this again. So you'll see it is not printed. So you'll see for Fiesta, there's the 4, and then there's the second 4. But if I switch this about and I run this, you'll see that this will print 4, and then in the next time you'll get an XXX print. So I'm going to put a line break there. So you'll see that the collection now contains that because it's backed by the copyOf collection. So that's pretty cool. I really like that. That's a great feature. It does not allow null. So if we drill into the copyOf collection, you'll see that anything that it goes to create will call into construct. And in the construct, you'll see it says check elements not null. So obviously that's a nice benefit of the collection. And if we go into as immutable list, you'll see that when it's actually being created, you'll see that the objects are passed in here rather than the backing collection that we've passed in. So it'll actually go through and pull out all of the objects for us. So I hope that was a nice introduction to immutable collections. I hope you use them. They're far nicer than the rest. They're less verbose. You don't need to make all these defensive copies. They're safe. They're a true immutable list, and they're efficient. And the last thing I want to say is, at the very start of this video, I showed you that this could change by changing the make and model. Well, I do not recommend that you do this. I recommend in all instances you get rid of the setters, and inside the constructor of your class, you accept in the arguments and you make these final. So now we know they can never change. This is the final value once it has been assigned. And therefore we can pass the list about, and we know now if any API or any classes were to select any objects from that immutable list, well, they can't actually change them because there's no setters and everything's final. And that's the best way to code. You make everything once and it never changes. It gives you so many guarantees and confidence in your code base. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will be making more of this, more Guava tutorials. I really like this collection. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to this series, my YouTube site. I really enjoy making these videos, and I will see you again in the next video. So take care, and I'll see you next time.